Why we never really quit World of Warcraft. The game that refuses to end. I quit World of Warcraft. I said it out loud. I deleted the game. I closed that chapter. And yet, years later, I always find myself back in Azeroth. Not because I ran out of games, not because WoW is perfect, but because World of Warcraft does something very few games do. It doesn't just give you memories, it keeps them alive. And once you lived in Azeroth, you never really leave it.
Father, is it over?
At long last. No king rules forever, my son.
I see. Only darkness before me.
Wrath of the Lich King and the Age of Legends. I started playing World of Warcraft around 2008, during Wrath of the Lich King, and that matters. Wrath wasn't just another expansion. It was the moment WoW became a modern legend. Arthas wasn't just a villain, he was a tragedy, a fallen hero, a reminder that even the greatest can fail. Icecrown Citadel felt like the end of something ancient, like standing at the edge of history. Back then, Azeroth felt bigger than us, and maybe that's why it stayed with us. Because when you enter WoW at that time, you don't feel like the center of the world. You feel like a small piece of much larger story.
Stand as one for the Alliance!
Azeroth is persistent word. Here is the first philosophical reason we never quit WoW. Azeroth does not depend on you. Most game exists only when you press play. When you leave it, the war stops. In World of Warcraft, the wars keeps going. Wars continue, kings fall, warships rise and disappear. Stormwind still stands. Orgrimmar is rebuilt again and again. The world changes even when you're gone. This creates a strange feeling. You don't feel like someone who finished WoW. You feel like someone who simply left the world for a while. And the words that continue without us feels real.
"4 years have passed since the mortal races banded together and stood united against the might of the Burning Legion. Though Azeroth was saved, the tenuous pact between the Horde and the Alliance has all but evaporated. The drums of war thunder once again."
WoW and the philosophy of time. Every WoW expansion represents an era. Classic was discovered. Burning Crusade was a conflict beyond Azeroth. Wrath was a tragedy. Cataclysm was destruction. Later expansions became reflections on power, death, and legacy. And here is the key part. Your real life moved alongside those areas. You weren't just leveling characters. You were aging, changing, becoming someone else. When you return to WoW years later, you don't just revisit zones, you revisit time. WoW becomes proof that time passed, and that you survived it.
That power will be your prison.
This world is a prison.
Why Arthas still matters. There is a reason Blizzard keeps returning to characters like Arthas, because his story mirrors ours. He tried to control fate, he sacrificed everything, and in the end, he lost himself. World of Warcraft constantly reminds us that power has a cost, that choices echo across time, and that nothing is truly erased. That's why WoW lore sticks. It doesn't promise happy endings, it promises continuity, just like real life. The comfort of systems, the meaning of ritual. Philosophically, WoW thrives on ritual, daily quests, raids every week, seasonal events. Rituals create meaning in chaotic lives. When life feels uncertain, logging into WoW feels structured. You know your role: tank, healer, DPS. You matter, not because you're special, but because the group needs you. That sense of belonging is ancient, almost tribal, and our brains recognize it instantly. You are older, but Azeroth is still there. When you come back after years, something hits you. You're not the same person. You have less time, more responsibility, different priorities, but Azeroth welcomes you the same way. Not frozen in time, but familiar enough to recognize you. World of Warcraft becomes a rare constant in a life full of changes, and humans drawn to constants. Why we never really quit. We don't return to World of Warcraft because it's perfect. We return because it remembers us, because our past still exists somewhere inside it. WoW is not nostalgia, it's continuity. It's a word that says, you changed, I changed, but we still connected. And maybe that's why we never really quit. Because you don't quit a word that helped shape who you became. When did you first step into Azeroth, and which version of yourself did you leave behind there? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and if you like the video, hit like and subscribe. See you in the next one.